Hi guys, this is Donna from Donny Crochets, and today I'll show you how I made this dress that I wore to a fashion event. I have more details on my Instagram, but don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So to make this dress, it's going to be in 3 parts: the bodice bits, and the skirt section is going to be in 2 sections: the mesh part and this other part. So what I'm going to do for this tutorial, I'll just brief you on what to do for the skirt. I'll show you how to do the stitch pattern, and then for the bodice it's easy. You can always go back to my other works and see what I was making. So to start with this this pattern, we are going to create this is going to be the length of your skirt, the part that is going to be a bit solid. So if you want to have a mini effect, you can do 20 inches or less according to who you're making it for. So just measure 20 inches and we're going to work on that. After measuring your desired amount, I'm just going to create a small foundation because now I'm making it as a sample. So I'll just create a small foundation and then show you how to work that stitch. I think that's enough. So for this stitch, you're going to be working on the back vase. So for now, I'm going to do this pattern is going to be in double crochets, or you can do half depending on your preference. So just do your double crochets all the way to the end first. After doing that, you'll chain 2 again and then now turn your work so that you can start working on the back vase. The vase are here, so you start working, and this is going to create a rib effect. And basically this is just a pattern repeat. You'll do this pattern until the end. So it's like we're going to create two panels. Yes, you can create 2 panels, then you can either create 2 panels or just work 1 long panel. So for this, you just continue until you reach the desired length. So this is just one method of creating the skirt. The second method is you create this same panel, but then now at a specific length you want to create a more snatched area. I don't know if I'm making sense. So to do that, you need to vary the stitch pattern that you're making. So let's say if you want to create a waistband from this same panel, what you're going to be doing is working stitch your slip knots, slip stitch patterns, and then you continue with your double crochet. So let's try that. Still working on the back panels, that is, you go in again, and then when you reach a desired length of the waistband, you start working back on the double crochets. So what this does, it's creating a snatch effect at the top, and then a more pronounced pattern at the back. So what you are basically doing is you are going to be working vertically, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, until you reach your hip size, your hip measurements. So what's the downer bit of the skirt is going to be the exact measurement of your hips, and then at the top where the waistband is, it's going to be the exact measurement of your waist, because at the top you are reducing by doing slip knots instead of doing double crochets. So say if your hip measurement is 40 inches, the width of this panel you're going to create should be 40 inches, and then the waistband should be at least half of it if you are doing the waist, if you wanted to do the waist bit and the lower bit together in one panel, or if you're just creating panels without the waist bit, you can just do it the panels without doing the reducing at the waistband, and then you can work on the waistband later on. So that will be the first part of the skirt. So to the second part of the skirt, we're going to be working on the mesh bit, of which I also have a tutorial for that. You can always go back to it, but I'm going to briefly show you what it entails. So the mesh bit is this favorite mesh pattern that I like making, and it's the V's. So what we're going to do first is create your foundation as usual, but I want to continue working from here on this row. After creating your foundation, what you're going to do is just work V's, as I've done in the other video for the mesh pattern. So you're going to chain up 2 and then add 2 more to cater for the V distance, and then you will wrap your hook around the yarn again, pull up and work another double crochet. That will be the first V. Then you'll skip 2. After skipping 2 onto the third, you'll work a double crochet, chain 2, then work another double crochet to create a set of V. So when you get to the end again, you'll just chain, and then for this now you're going to start working into the same without adding more, so that it creates some distance before you come and work into this V here. Chain 2 like that. Then you'll chain up 1, and that will be the pattern for this mesh pattern. So for this, you can either decide if you are doing 20 inches of the mini bit that was more opaque. You can also do 20 inches of the mesh version. Just create it into your desired length and measurements. So after that, you will attach the 2 of them, this and this. You'll attach the 2 of them and stitch them together. So I'll show you how to do that. The mesh that you've created has to be the same size as the other skirt bit that you created. So if we were measuring 40 inches of a panel, make sure the mesh panel as well is 40 inches so that it's the same size. So what you want to do is put the sides together. Use stitch markers to help you to align your work well. Then you can either decide to do this method, or you can just decide to use a needle and thread to join the two together. So just join all the way to the end to create one piece. After you do that, the bottom skirt now is complete. Then now we can move to the bodice. For the bodice, let me show you how to do it after you finish working this. So I want to explain my bodice. It's very easy to make it. So it's like creating this waistband part is almost like creating another bra cup. As you just create a foundation chain, after creating a foundation chain, you work up at least 1 inch of foundation, if I'm making sense, before you start doing the increase that we always do for the bra cups here. So you start by measuring your waist, and that will be the measurement you're going to use. After measuring your waist, you can either decide also to work on this bodice parts in 2 panels or 1 panel. So if you're going to do it in 2 panels, you'll take your waist measurement, divide it by 2. After dividing it by 2, again you're going to divide it by 2 and place a stitch marker after creating that 1 inch foundation. And then now you start working. After you place the stitch marker and then you created the first inch of foundation, you start working on the next row. And then when you get to the stitch marker, instead of just placing 1, you're going to place 2 double crochets. Depending on the pattern you're using, you're going to place 2 double crochet, chain 1, then 2 more double crochet, and continue working all the way to the end. And that will be the pattern you're going to create, left and right, until you create 5 inches or 3 inches. Let's say at least 5 inches of the increased area, 5 inches of it, so that plus this it becomes 6. So continue working. When you get to the end, you turn your work, continue working. When you get to the midpoint, you chain 2, you do 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, then continue. You will also work the bra cups. You'll have 2 bra cups of your choice, the color that you want, and depending on the size that you're making. And then after you make the 2 cups, what you're going to do, usually the cups is usually like this, yeah, but now it's usually like this. When you make it, it's usually like this, yeah, you get the picture. But now you're going to take the side point, you're going to attach the side of the cup to the waistband that you created for both sides, and that will be the front of it. It is just 2 cups and 1 varied waistband. So to the end, to the back, say you created, if you are creating one panel for the waistband, you can just create two, you can place two stitch markers, one at this point, at this midpoint, one at this second midpoint. Or if you're creating two waistbands, you can do two of them. If you're creating one, you need two of them to know where you are increasing. So for this back part, the difference comes when you're creating this area. So for this area, what you're going to be doing is you're going to create sets of two slip knots, two half double crochets, and two double crochets, or three, depending on the size of this area that you want for the right side and for the left side. Let me show you what I mean by that. So I have this version, a little different from this other one, but it still has the same increase at the middle. So what I meant by that is, first of all, you find the midpoint. Yeah, this is the midpoint. What you're going to do first, said you're working in sets of two. So we're going to create two slip knots. That's one, and then two. After creating two slip knots, the next you're going to create two half double crochets. I like to weave in my ends as I go. Then for the last set, you're going to create two double crochets. And that will be the first set that we did. So I started working on my left. I'm going to start working on my right. What you want to do is create a slip knot and cut off that yarn. Then turn your work and start working on this side. Back to the same midpoint. Work two slip knots, then two half double crochets, then lastly two double crochets. Right now you're not going to cut your yarn, you're just going to continue working. So as you can see, you have created a straight border. It will look better as you continue working. So chain up 2 or 3, then work up your double crochets as usual for the stitch that you are using. And work into each and every stitch. Don't forget any stitch. When you get to the end, you chain up 2 again, turn your work, and this will be the pattern you'll continue following. As you can see, it has created a straight structure that we wanted, like for here. Yeah, it's straight, so you can this part is going to vary according to how long you want the back part to be. Yeah, so mine is about 3.5 inches, so you can also do that. Basically, that's how I created this part. And then now the strap bits, let me explain about how I did the straps. If you did 2 panels, make sure you connect the side panels together. Yeah, after you've done everything, so now is the time that you're going to add your straps. I worked my straps outside my work separately. That is, you can decide to work your straps into your work, but I always like to work it outside my work so that I can always adjust to fit my desired customer requirements, Yeah, when you do the strap, what you want to do is you're going to work it to weave it into the back part. That is going to be the starting point. So you find the midpoint and then you put it here, and then you work it into the back part. After working it into the back part, you'll bring it forward to join the front part of the cap, and then after joining the front part of the work, you're going to continue weaving it into the work, and then you can either decide to cut the excess yarn of it, or you can decide to just leave it and tuck it into the work later on. I had two separate straps, or you can have 2 or 1 if you want to have 2 like mine. Again, for the second strap, again it will start at the back. You find the midpoint, attach it, continue, and then bring it to the front part of the cap, and then continue weaving it all the way down to the midpoint here. For the second strap of yarn, you can see I attached it, the 2 of them, I tied them at the middle. So yeah, thank you for watching.